Today I'm going to share with you some ideas and a story around how we can assess our process in the spiritual journey and maybe some of the pitfalls that we may fall into during our explorations of life. It's a fun story, and later on we're going to do some meditation and a bit of movement. It's a Sunday evening here today. We're live with 58 wonderful people, and if you're here in the recording, it's a real privilege to be with you as well. And so since it's Sunday evening vibes, we're going to take a bit of a calmer meditation movement session and have some fun expressing our bodies, but also doing it in a nice, gentle, meditative way. So that's coming later. But let's jump into the story and let's see what you think about this and see what we can gather from what this story is trying to tell us. So this story, you'll see, is one way of us, is kind of challenging us to think about our spiritual growth. And one thing in particular that can stand in the way of our spiritual growth is a sense of overconfidence. Maybe we're feeling very proud of ourselves for being spiritual conscious people. And this story just kind of plays with us to try and just temper that arrogance or hubris. And we'll talk later about the difference between self-confidence and arrogance. But let's see what you think about this. So there was once a monk who decided to leave his monastery and to he decided to go and live in a cave to become a hermit. He thought being away from people, being away from the daily rituals of monastery life would mean that he would deepen his spiritual practice. And so he went off into the mountains, lived in a cave, he was enjoying himself. One day he was on a walk in the woods when he sees an old man slumped against a tree, breathing heavily. The hermit said, "Old man, what are you doing out here in the middle of nowhere?" The old man said, "I'm old. I'm trying to get down to the village, but my feet can hardly walk another step." Now the hermit thought this would be a great opportunity for him to demonstrate his compassion, so he offered to take the old man down to the village. The old man graciously accepted the offer. The old man climbed on the hermit's back and they started walking down the mountain. Thankfully, the path was downhill. The old man was relatively light, so the hermit had it relatively easy going. After walking down the hill for a while, eventually the old man spoke. He said, "My friend, may I ask, what is your name? I'd like to thank you personally." And to this, the hermit replied with a sense of pride, "My name is Cold Ash." The old man was confused. Cold Ash? The hermit was only so happy to explain. "You see, when I left the monastery, I renounced my old name because I no longer felt it was relevant to me, and so I became Cold Ash." At this, the old man didn't say anything. He continued to walk down the mountain. After a few more minutes of quiet, the old man spoke again. "My friend, what is your name?" The hermit was confused. Is this old man deaf? He spoke up this time. "My name's Cold Ash." This time the old man did hear. "Cold Ash? Why do you have such an unusual name?" "Because I've reached such heights in my cultivation that the fires of worldly emotion and anger have long burnt out within me. All that's left is the ash, which has long gone cold." At this, the old man was silent. Only to be expected, thought the hermit. Very few people can understand the heights of spiritual cultivation that I have reached. So this man clearly couldn't understand such complexity. They continued to walk in silence. And the old man spoke again. "My friend, tell me, what is your name?" The hermit couldn't believe it. This man's deaf and he's dumb. "My name is Cold Ash, all that's left of the fire after it's long burnt out." The old man did seem to hear this time. He seemed even impressed. "What does it mean for the fire to be burnt out?" "It means my spiritual cultivation has reached such heights that I've left behind worldly emotions." The hermit was getting a little bit frustrated. This man clearly didn't understand the world, and the hermit was beginning to regret taking this man all the way on this long journey if he's going to keep on asking silly questions. They walked in silence. The old man didn't reply to that, and the hermit wished he would stay silent this time. They walked, they walked. Eventually the old man spoke again. "My friend, tell me, what is your name?" And at this, the hermit rips the old man off his back and says, "My name's Cold Ash, Cold Ash. How many times do I need to tell you? What's wrong with you?" It's a fun one. So some of you have heard that before. Let me know in the chat what your thoughts were, and I'll do some ad-libbing while I get those comments. So, yeah, we've got a hermit who's reaching heights of spiritual cultivation, but is losing his rag. And admittedly, quite an annoying old man who's just either being intentionally difficult or is deaf or whatever. And so our hermit character didn't seem to handle it too well. He kind of lost it at the end. So yeah, let's have a look at what you thought about that. See what came up for you. While I'm waiting for that, here's, I'll show you a chapter from the Tao Te Ching, which is related to what we have just been talking about. So, yeah, one of the key principles in Taoism is the idea of humility. One of the things that I write every day, I have values that I write out every morning to kind of align my energy and the things that I'm doing. And in chapter, I think, 67 of the Tao Te Ching, someone might need to correct me on that, Lao Tzu, the author of the Tao Te Ching, the foundational text of Taoism, talks about how he has 3 treasures: compassion, humility, and moderation. So humility being an important part of the Taoist world and our spiritual practice, not claiming to know more than we know. And yeah, we have this monk turned hermit who called himself Cold Ash because he believed that the worldly emotions, the fires of anger, had long burnt out of him. But we see, in fact, that's not the case. And so perhaps there's a relationship between people who claim to have everything sorted and claim to be enlightened people, and maybe the fact that they haven't reached there yet. So Lavyana says the hermit still has stuff to work out. Nisting Yogi says achievement is a perception of the mind. Impeccably Flowing says life is testing him. Nice. Yeah. So here's a chapter from the Tao Te Ching. Let's see how this does. So those who flaunt themselves are not clear. Those who presume themselves are not distinguished. Those who praise themselves have no merit. Those who boast about themselves do not last. So strong words in the Tao Te Ching there. And so this is an example of somebody who, maybe is claiming more than they probably should. And maybe could just chill out a bit and maybe continue their practice without claiming too much. So this isn't to say that having some silence isn't good, getting away into nature and having time for reflection, having that space to learn more about yourself and to be okay with yourself an important part of the spiritual practice, whilst we're kind of either compulsively hanging out with people because we don't know how to just relax to being by ourselves, or we just cram our lives with stimulation and distraction so that actually we find it hard to connect with what we really want and who we really are, rather than just being pulled around by corporations, advertisers for us to buy things, or for us to just fall into the cookie cutter little boxes that society wants to put us in, rather than finding out who we really are and what we really want and our desires. So silence and nature and having times of retreat is awesome. And I did a Vipassana meditation retreat recently, 10 days, which was amazing and challenging, which is something that could be on your radar in your spiritual journey. But the question that I put in the title of this video is, how do we measure our spiritual progress? And so one way that we do find, actually, have we grown spiritually, is not by escaping into nature and to make our lives simpler, but instead is to see how we navigate our everyday existence, how we navigate difficult situations, how we navigate difficult people. So this old hermit was rather frustrating. We can give Cold Ash some compassion that this was a man that was maybe intentionally challenging him. And often the sages of these stories, the wise people of these stories, are beggars on the street or old men that don't seem to have any wisdom, but there's a glint in their eye and you know that they are up to mischievous tricks to try and teach people things. So it is actually those people, those moments, that can be a great source of growth and also can help us have a sense of where we are with our spiritual practice, is that can we keep a balanced mind, an equanimous mind to anything that arises. Not that we become passive and just accept everything that arises, but instead to try and see the world as it is, rather than being pulled around by anger or frustration or lust or emotions that will cloud our ability to act and decide to live well and to do things that serve us and serve our families and loved ones and the planet. So actually not seeking out challenge and not seeking out difficult people, but when challenging things do happen in our lives, is to be okay with that and to actually see it as an opportunity to practice our cultivation, our compassion. Can I keep a balanced mind? Can I come to my breath? Take a breath, relax the face when we have these difficult situations. So Melissa saying, being mindful at all times. Brandon talked about a story from the Bible where the Pharisees cared more about seeming godly and caring and then actually being those things, which is often the case with if a religion or a group of people have a very strict moral code, inevitably it leads to hypocrisy, where people are kind of pumping about this moral code. Behind the scenes, they are just as human as any of us. And so there's this hypocrisy between the claims of a certain group of people and then how they act. So can we live in a way that doesn't have this hypocrisy with integrity? The word integrity means wholeness, for everything to be integral, to be connected. So to have integrity is there being no separation between the words that you say and the claims that you make and then the person that you are, like embodying and living your values, super important. And obviously, it's a journey of a lifetime. We'll fall down and not meet our standards or our aspirations, and that's fine. That's part of what being human is. But then also being humble with that and honest when we do mess up and fall over, is to say, hey, I fell over there. Wow, that was difficult. And when you're honest and human, then people accept that, rather than having to claim that I'm Cold Ash, a perfect human being with no problems whatsoever. I have transcended all of it. Beautiful. So, I hope you enjoyed that. And yeah, let's go to some meditation. Later on, we'll do a Q&A. So if you have any questions, we can come to those later. So I'm going to invite us to do a standing meditation today. We're not going to do a full Qi Gong form, but yeah, doing some standing. And we'll see how we can stand in relation to this story. I want to offer you some movement ideas. So if you'd like to join me, why don't we do some movement together? I invite you to stand up and get into a comfortable space. And I want to talk about the difference between confidence and arrogance. Is that, can you be confident in yourself without arrogance, without comparison? And you do this through recognizing your uniqueness and celebrating your uniqueness. It's not that you're better than anyone else. We are all miracles of the intelligence of the universe. So how could you set a hierarchy of I'm better than this person or I'm better than that person? Having confidence doesn't need to be a comparative thing. It doesn't need to be I'm confident in relation to that person being worse than me, therefore I feel good about myself. Instead, confidence can be just simply celebrating and accepting where you are right now. So can you have confidence without arrogance, without comparison? And you do that through recognizing and celebrating your uniqueness. One way that we can find confidence is through the body. Even if we don't feel confident, is that we can embody a confident standing position, and then that body movement can lead the feeling of confidence. So why don't you play with me and have some fun with this? Stretch your arms out wide and take up as much space as you can. Big, powerful standing. How does that feel? So, if we're feeling less confident, we're down here. Now we're out here. We're out here. So we're feeling good. We're expanding ourselves. Now, shaking out the body and just relaxing into being yourself right now. So wherever you are at today is where you are. So celebrating your uniqueness. We can grow spiritually. We can grow physically and mentally. But it's not because we're fixing something or improving something. We are just moving from where we are. So confident standing, shaking tension out and just relaxing into being here. Then let's explore default standing. So Qi Gong standing is slightly wider. Now, you can stand like this, but if you're kind of like hanging out with friends, it's a little bit, maybe even a bit too martial arts, just to be hanging out in your Qi Gong standing. So try putting your feet underneath your hips. Now, underneath your hips does not mean putting your feet underneath the outside of your hips. It means that there's a straight line down from your hip joint, which is here, all the way down to your feet. And then similar to the Qi Gong standing that if you've joined me in previous weeks, we're exploring. So a nice long spine. Nice long spine. So feel a string attached to the top of your head, lifting you upwards. Feel an elongation in your spine, relaxing down from there. Then bum tucked. So you've got, not kind of sucking in too much, but trying to have your hips flat. So rather than your hips being here, your hips are flat. Slight tuck of the chin so that you've got flatness in the back of the neck as well. Then let's just do some relaxation here. So a quick body scan, relaxing the different parts of the body. So relaxing the forehead, relaxing the cheeks, relaxing the jaw, allow them to release, to sink. Relaxing the shoulders, relaxing the stomach. Although our bum is tucked in, we're not sucking ourselves in. We're allowing our confident, powerful breathing is when we relax the tension in our stomach. Then hands just gently by your sides, and you can play with where your hands are, but try and not fidget and just really relax into this standing now. You're tall, strong, grounded. Final element is the feet, and grounding to the floor is that like our Qi Gong standing, we're not in our heels. So try shifting your weight backwards and forwards like this, feeling the distribution of the weight, and then landing in a place where your weight is distributed across your feet, the balls of your foot, rather than just your heels. So that may mean you coming slightly forward. There's a slight bend in your knees as well. So here you go. So this is a standing position that you can, when you're hanging out with friends, can you just really relax into this? This is a confident standing position, but not an arrogant standing position. Just relaxing your hands down by the sides and just really allowing yourself to relax into being here right now. So this is kind of a default neutral standing pose that you can return to in life, like if you're hanging out with friends, or if you're waiting for a bus, or maybe you're doing some work on a computer at a standing desk, which I recommend if you do a lot of computer work. But hey, this is confident, right? You know, because you're not kind of collapsing in on yourself. You're proud to be who you are, celebrating who you are, and your body posture is indicating that. So something for you to explore. Now, let's open up and go to our Qi Gong standing. So it's exactly the same, nice long spine, tuck of the chin, tuck of the bum, soft bend in the knees, weight distributed across the whole of the foot, but now we're slightly wider. So again, you could work here if you're doing standing desks, and we want to be moving a lot out in our different positions. Movement is one of our key needs for us to flourish. So yeah, we can change our standing positions. Now this is an even stronger, grounded, powerful martial arts standing position. So this is great for our Qi Gong practice or for you to try at home. So some ideas for you. Now let's begin to arrive and do some standing meditation together, and then we're going to do some light movement with it as well. Our hand positions, bringing our hands together in our yin yang, so bringing the two tiger mouths together. And relaxing the face and closing the eyes, arriving with your breath. Let's do around 10 minutes together, beginning to deepen our standing meditation practice, relaxing into being here and now. Connecting with your breath, watching the air come in through your nostrils and out through your nostrils. Watching the slightly colder air come in, slightly warmer air leaving. And relax the forehead and the cheeks and the jaw. Soften the face. Slow your breath down now. We know as we slow our breath down, we slow down our system, we slow down our mind, we slow down our body. Can you breathe so light and slow that you cannot hear your breath? Can you breathe so light and slow that you can barely feel the movement of the air coming in and out through your nostrils? Slow and mindful breathing. And breathing deep, using your intention, send the breath deep down into you. No movement in the shoulders, no movement in the chest. Send the breath deep down into you in a very relaxed and gentle way. As you breathe in, releasing stomach tension, feel an expansion in your side ribs, in your stomach. And as you breathe out, there's a light tension to push the air back out. Breathe deep. And let's get even deeper with our 4-7-8 breathing. The desire to breathe, the feeling of air hunger when you do this exercise means the exercise is working. You should never feel stressed. So if you feel stressed, just come out of it and you can always come back in. And here we go. Breathing in for 4, 2, 3, 4. Hold the breath for 7, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and releasing for 8, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Breathe in. Hold the breath. And release. Breathe in. Hold the breath. And release. Breathe in. Hold the breath. Nice and gentle, relaxed. And release. Consistent flow, not pushing too hard at the end. Breathe in. Hold the breath. And release. Last one, breathe in. Hold the breath. And release. Continue to watch your breath, slow, mindful breathing. Now let's begin to bring some movement into our meditation. We're going to do the heaven and the earth movement, equalizing between the two. So we breathe in, raise up, palms to the sky, bringing our arms overhead. Breathe out, bringing our hands down. Breathe in, raise up. Shoulders relaxed, no movement in the shoulders. Breathe out. Coming back in. Breathe in. Breathe out. So I'll be silent for this now and be mindful with this experience of doing these movements and simply enjoy being you, expressing yourself exactly where you are, no matter your fitness or stiffness. Just stay present. this move, we're bringing in the energy from the heavens. We can think about these as metaphors, but see as you bring your hands down, if you can feel that kind of energy coming into you, you're charging up, opening yourself up to the abundant energy that is flowing through the world. And if we relax, we can be lifted and supported by it. And now grounding with the earth, our next move. Breathing in, we raise up. Imagining bringing the energy from the earth into us. Breathe in, raise up. Breathe out, bring down into our dantian, just below the belly button, the source of our energy. Relax shoulders. Again, enjoy this mindful movement. And with that, closing our practice, bringing our feet together, hands by our sides, and our Tai Chi salute, fist with the left hand, palm over with the right, a bow, and acknowledging all the wonderful people we're sharing our practice with. So thank you for joining. Hope you enjoyed a more meditative form of movement this week. We also explored how we can embody a confident stance without arrogance, and how the body can lead our feelings of our self-confidence. So we've got time for questions. Let me know any questions in the chat. Anything that comes to mind. We've got a while, so happy to go into lots of different things. I'm glad you enjoyed. Jazz, Indigo, Heather, Rachel. Beautiful. Glad you enjoyed. So Bogdan Radu asks, hi George, do you have some insights on the Taoist take on time management or time blocking? How can this be united with the Taoist ideas of flow? Important question. So, as you'll know, one of the key concepts in Taoism is flow and wu wei and effortless action, where can we, rather than being stuck on our heads, can we tap into our natural body intelligence so that, say, if we're going on a walk, we just allow ourselves to be present with walking rather than whirring up here, or if we're playing a musical instrument, we're just watching as we're playing that music and it comes out. Or if we are in conversations, can we be present with the person in front of us rather than, again, stuck in our heads thinking about something else, and just allow the conversation to flow rather than worrying about what we're going to be saying. Another example, can we not be worrying about future outcomes if we have a job interview or a date that we're getting a wee bit anxious about? Can we flow and just act from the present moment. So the date or the job interview is not happening right now. So unless there's anything I can do to prepare for it, then just allow that thinking to go. You can't control what thoughts come into your head, but you can choose where to place your attention, and your attention can come back to your body or come back to the present moment. So that's Wu Wei, that's flow, really important idea. How does it match up with productivity and time management? Because that is quite an intellectual exercise. I'm going to be working for 25 minutes and then have my daily routine. Is this in conflict with Taoist principles? Well, I'll share my thoughts on it. So monasteries, right? Lots of routine in there. If you've ever lived in one, or I'm sure you'll know anyway, that there's bells rung in the morning to wake everyone up at very early o'clock for some meditation. Then there's set tea times and dinner times. There's actually a very strict routine and schedule that everyone needs to follow. But thank your respective deity that there is this routine, because trying to get 200 monks to eat and wash and meditate, but with no schedule, would be basically impossible. So actually having one's life simplified so that you don't have to be making daily decisions of what time am I going to eat, what time am I going to work, what time am I going to sweep the garden. Actually, these decisions are put onto the routine, and paradoxically that helps you flow. Because you're not having to make those daily decisions, you can just then flow because you know what's coming next. So routine and schedules are not in conflict with the ideas of flow. In fact, you can get an awful lot of flow from routine and making proper structures for your day. So a mantra that I love is reduce daily decisions to routine. Reduce daily decisions to routine. So rather than having to in the morning work out, like, am I going to shower now? Or am I going to shower later? Should I put on my coffee now, or should I clean the room first? See if you can just flow by setting those decisions ahead of time. So I get up, I do my bed, I then go for a shower, I then have my coffee. Do that every morning, and then save your decision-making powers, which I know you have great decision-making powers. Save those decisions for important decisions rather than things that don't really matter. And yet I find myself, oh, should I shower now? Should I later? Suddenly I'm in some agitation of, even though it's a very small thing, like having to make that decision or not knowing when to do it does cause agitation. So reduce daily decisions to routine. Now for my work is that actually I have benefited an awful lot from productivity and self-help, and I'm very passionate about sharing ideas that can help you and the planet live in balance. And I work a lot on this, trying to deepen my understanding of what's happening in the world and my ability to communicate with you. And so a lot of, the value I hope that I've been able to give to you comes from the fact that I've read productivity books, and I have my routines, and I block my internet until 12 p.m. and I hide my phone in a drawer when I go to bed, and then I don't get the phone out until 12 p.m. at lunchtime. So I have the whole morning without any internet, without any phone. And so that means that when I'm writing or when I'm reading, I'm in that flow state much more easily because I'm not distracted by my technology. So that's a conscious decision leading to flow. So that's another example. So no, they're not in conflict, and as always, it's balanced. So having routine is great and can help you flow, but also can you also not be beholden to that routine where it becomes obsessive and maybe is too controlling. So always using your wisdom and your judgment to try and determine whether or not this routine is serving you and the things that you want to do. And so there's not one clear answer to this question. It's something that you have to discover for yourself because you're unique and your needs are unique. So I hope that's valuable for you, Bogdan. Good question. So will we have any live sessions in the Wellness Academy? So indeed, There's Master Gu does monthly live streams with the Wellness Academy. You can learn Tai Chi, Qi Gong, natural living with Master Gu online from anywhere in the world, wherever you are. And if you go to taoistwellness.online, you'll see more. Joris asks, if you were the hermit from the story and you encountered the old man, how do you think you would respond to the situation? Interesting question. Yeah, I think that, what would I do? I would stay grounded and find humor in the fact that, is this man trying to trigger me? And maybe I feel frustration arise in me, and trying to watch that and use that as something to be able to help me navigate the situation. It's okay, I'm getting frustrated at this. That's a sign that something is happening. And so rather than just allowing that frustration just to take over the reins and then I'm reactive, I see what's happening for me in this present moment. So yeah, that's hopefully a way of looking at our emotions that helps us stay grounded without then denying the value of the emotions, because actually our bodies have a lot of intelligence, and so we don't want to just subdue all of our emotions because we think that's what a good meditator does. That is denying the value of your emotions. So yeah, having a chuckle, having a laugh, I hope. But who knows, maybe I'll be like Cold Ash, but at least I don't make the claim that get the focus back. At least don't make the claim that I'm called Cold Ash and my practice is so great that I have transcended all worldly emotions. I do not make that claim. So at least I'm not falling into the mistake that Cold Ash did. What type of tea does Master Gu drink? Green tea. He grows it himself on the mountain. Beautiful Wudang green tea, and has loads of health-giving properties. Alrighty. If you've got any more questions, let me know. And yeah, I'm very hot right now. I'm sweating. It's 31 degrees in here. We're in the middle of a heat wave. Are tattoos frowned upon by Taoists? There's Zhuangzi stories about people who have tattoos all around their bodies, and this person from another kingdom, he was a t-shirt seller, and he made loads of money selling t-shirts in his own home, and then he moved to this new kingdom where everyone had tattoos. He tried to sell the t-shirts and nobody bought them because they wanted to show off their tattoos. So Zhuangzi gave an example where exactly the same action given to two different people can have exactly the opposite results. So not falling into too much self-confidence about my way's the best way. You always need to be thinking about the person in front of you and what the situation is. So do the Taoists like tattoos? That's at least one example where one of the great Taoist philosophers talks about people with tattoos as an example of the philosophy that he communicates. What are some of your favorite Taoist texts and or teachers besides the Tao Te Ching? Well, I've got my little book library here, so let's have a look, give you some fun recommendations. So yeah, so you got the Tao Te Ching, you've got the Zhuangzi, which are the kind of the two main ones, which are the kind of the original texts of Taoism. If you haven't read these books yet, these are really awesome, which are the illustrated versions. Super fun. See how the focus gets on that. So yeah, retelling the wisdom of the Tao Te Ching in illustrated form. So that's the Tao Te Ching. This is the Zhuangzi, all the Zhuangzi stories, really cool stuff. This is a Zen one, which yeah, I haven't managed to get around to reading yet. But I met this artist in China, Titi Tsai, which was awesome to connect with one of the great teachers of spirituality in China. Another great teacher, Zhongliang Aohuang. So a lot of my movement teaching that I share with you is inspired by Zhongliang. And like Master Gu, he has this joyful Taoist sense of humor and lightness. Embrace Tiger, Return to Mountain. Amazing book if you're into Tai Chi and into Qi Gong and Taoism. Now these two books are epic. This is the Tao of 365 Tao by Dengming Dao. And by the way, in Wayfinders, the free community, I've got all of these. I've got reading lists for free, which you can have a look at. And then the Tao of Joy by Derek Lin. So these books are really cool because every day you get a chapter to reflect upon. And so it only takes you a few minutes to read. And then you can get loads of great insights about nature and the world and your spirituality and lots of great stuff. So yeah, there's some offerings for you. So Marco says, are there any parallels you see between Tai Chi and other martial arts like capoeira? So I've been doing capoeira, which is a Brazilian martial art / dance / spiritual experience where you move with a partner, eye contact, you're moving together. I'll give you my jinga. You're moving together in this kind of pattern, and then you kind of do kicks and yeah, stiff today. Yeah, kicks over each other, and it's related because it's martial arts. And yeah, I definitely see them all overlapping. Like I see yoga as the foundation upon which to put martial arts. So yeah, yoga practice I do every day because I find it's, for my flexibility is really important. And then Qi Gong as well. So yoga and Qi Gong being the foundation. And then on top of that, Tai Chi, Kung Fu, Capoeira, what do you want to add onto it? So they come from the same source because they are embodied movement practices where you're present with your movement, and also it's making you stronger. So particularly focusing on your leg strength and your leg flexibility, and that's being really important rather than doing your bicep curls and your bench presses at the gym and just becoming strong up top. Actually, getting your legs strong means that you can jump up stuff, climb up stuff. It's much more functional fitness, and you get strong flexibility as well. So that's why, I like all of them. But the practice of moving with presence, certainly similar. Asbajon, said that wrong, I'm sorry, said, what is your number one advice for Qi rising to the head and getting stuck, if you have any? Yeah, so I think I'd need to understand a bit more about how you mean by the feeling of the Qi rising to the head and getting stuck. Through the breath, coming to the breath, like if you feel that you've got a lot of tension in your head and often this is where, if I'm stressed, I hold the tension here, is having a regular practice to come using the breath to relax the face and then gently breathe out. You'll know the Taoist practice, perhaps you'll know of tuna, the wisest fish in the ocean. Tuna actually means to breathe in the new and expel the old. Tuna, breathe in the new, expel the old. So when you breathe in, bring in this fresh breath, fresh energy, and then breathe out, relax the face, allow that turgid or stuck energy to be released and for it to be extinguished. Tuna, breathe in, relax the face, breathe out, let it go, let the tension go. So the meditation practice that I do the most throughout the day is single breaths. So I notice that I'm off in la la land in my head, and then I notice that, a single breath, soften the face, breathe out. All right, I'm back. So that's a practice that you can use throughout the day, not making your meditation something that you only do for 10 minutes, 20 minutes in the morning, but instead bringing that mindfulness throughout the day and seeing if that can help unblock some things for you. Yeah, the tuna, the wisest fish in the ocean. Brilliant. All right, well, let's leave it there. I hope you enjoyed today. As always, privileged to be with you. We're going to be going back to Zoom, and so if you'd like to join on Wayfinders, there's a link in the description. There's an amazing community, 15 community-run events every week, so you can meditate with others, Qi Gong, calligraphy. You can share your journey with some amazing people around the world. So the community is really active. And my contribution to the community is Move and Meditate, which I do every Wednesday, 8 p.m, which will be not this week, but now the following week, because this replaces this Wednesday. So yeah, have a great 10 days until I next see you, and I hope you're staying safe and well and sending warmth and strength. See you soon. Thanks, everyone.